Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. We're going to do what is not quite an unboxing today because it is not in the shrink wrap. And it is not in the shrink wrap because it's so big that I did not want to leave without ensuring that everything was here. We are talking, of course, about The Greatest Day, Sword, Juno, and Gold Beaches, Battle for Normandy, Volume 1. Now, there will be a Volume 2, which will be Utah Beach, which is in development. Different designer. This is series designer Adam Starkweather. Game designer Adam Starkweather. This is, of course, the Grand Tactical Series. This is, as you can see, a giant box. It's 2 inches thick, I think, and it's double-sized. And when you see what is inside it, you will see that it is nevertheless very full. So let's look at the components real quick. This is something I would like to do more video on. But we will see how that works out. As you may know, I have a GTS game scheduled, and I'm not going to pay a lot of attention to The Greatest Day right now because it uses GTS version 2 rules. We are playing GTS Market Garden, which uses GTS 1.1 rules. There are enough differences that I do not wish to confuse myself. So, what we have here, there's a couple of blank pages in here, which are right here. And there's a little divider to kind of keep the stuff separated, which I'm going to keep on hand for now. We have 3 books, and I'll dig them all out because there's something interesting going on here with these. So there's a rule book, there's an exclusive rule book, and there's a scenario book. Okay, so the first thing you notice is that the rule book and the exclusive rule book are on this super glossy paper, almost like a heavy magazine type of stock. I think it's pretty nice. But the scenario book is not. It is on a matte finish paper. I am perfectly fine with this, by the way. Now, this scenario book is very beefy. It is 68 pages, and there is a wealth of scenarios in here. I think I counted that there are 21 scenarios in there. I'm not 100% sure that that's actually accurate, but that sounds right. Regardless, there's a lot, even if it's not 21 per se. The other interesting thing about the rules is there are some dice. Get those out of the way for now. So this is something that you should probably be aware of if you're thinking about buying The Greatest Day, which is pretty well regarded among people that like this system. However, there is a weird quirk of the way the rules are issued in here. It's GTS 2.0 rules. This is not the GTS 2.0 rulebook. It is the GTS 1.1 rulebook. What that means is that the updates to that are in the exclusive rules. And I think there's about 20 pages of this, and about 12 pages of that. That's a very unusual, unorthodox way to manage that change. I assume that to have been a timetable problem. So regardless, this is, for that reason, I think definitively not the game, even though there's a wealth of scenarios. If you're going to try to learn it by yourself, I suspect that The Greatest Day is not the package to get. When Utah comes out, we'll see how that looks. This has a ton of small scenarios in it, which is really, really attractive. I should be comfortable enough with the GTS rules 1.1 by the time we are finished playing in February to start to tackle this. If you'd like to see some video on that, please let me know. We also, in addition to those 3 booklets, we have a giant stack of, there's an errata sheet here, by the way. So, scenario book and exclusive rule books, not sure I care too much, but one of the Where Eagles Dare replacement counters was misprinted with the label superimposed on it. A clean copy of this exact counter is in the MMP magazine Special Ops number 3. They are talking about The Greatest Day Utah Beach as the next game in the series. Now, that's been in playtest for a couple of years now that I'm aware of. I've been seeing pictures of it. They brought it to WBC last year, I know. So that's coming. So this is not all displays, actually. Let's talk about that because that's important. So we have, as you'd expect for GTS, a bunch of these divisional displays. They are not all, strictly speaking, divisions, but they are treated as divisions for the game. There is, for example, some Royal Marines here somewhere, and they are not a division. They didn't fight as a division. but they treat it essentially as one by the game system as far as I can tell. So we have Naval Displays, for each of the beaches. So Sword Beach and Coburg, Gold Beach and Juno Beach. Of course, Gold Beach is the British, Juno Beach is the Canadians. Sword Beach is also the British, but behind Sword Beach on the other side of the Orne Canal also lands the British 6th Airborne Division, and we have them in here too. Compared to especially together, the Devil's Cauldron and Where Eagles Dare are an enormous package. Even individually, they are an enormous package. This is about as big as both of them put together, maybe a little bigger. So we've got all these divisional displays. So let's put these over here. I'm trying to keep this moderately organized because I'm not going to get to punch and clip of this anytime soon. We also have, I think, a nice thing, Grand Tactical Series 2.0 Rules Summary. This is a 12-page black and white booklet with flowcharts and a bunch of interesting things and some rules summary stuff. Now that I noticed this, we've been using this in our Devil's Cauldron practice game. We're going to have to stop doing this because this is 2.0, and again, as I said, there's enough differences that could create issues. We have some terrain effects charts. We have a turn record chart, so this should be single-sided. The other side of these are more terrain effects charts. That's... okay, I was going to say that's awkward, but it's one 2-page terrain effects chart. So, and then here's a sheet of... whoops, hold on. Here's a sheet of the combat table and some other miscellaneous tables, including terrain effect chart notes. There's a lot of different types of terrain in this thing. As you can imagine, I think the scale on this is something like 500 meters per hex company units. We've got the little inventory card. I went through this already, so I'm not going to list it again. If you want to know the exact contents by itemized list, you can look at the Multiman website. These other things are either mini-maps for specific scenarios or extensions of the larger map, or they are the beach landing maps. There's like 6 of these, something like that, 6, 7 of these. So there's one for each beach. Here's Gold Beach, here's Juno Beach, here's Sword Beach, here's one of the expansion maps. I don't know where this goes. I'm not going to even try to lay any of this stuff out at this time. It may be that they're only used for scenarios. That's possible. Now, this is the Black Baron scenario map. It's on an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and it is the Michael Wittmann engagement near Villers-Bocage. So that's fairly interesting. I haven't really looked at the scenario with an eye toward playing it yet. I just have looked it over very, very briefly so I know what it's about. So we have all these one-page maps. We have counters. These are 5/8 inch counters. There are 16 sheets of 5/8 inch counters here. I don't know how many counters this works out to be, but it's a lot. Each color represents a division, again, division by the definitions of the game. I'm not sure how the Royal Marines work. They're on here somewhere, and there's a ton of divisions in this game. This covers approximately the first week of the Normandy campaign along the British beaches. And if you are wondering, yes, after the next game, Utah Beach, the goal is to have a third game on Omaha Beach, which will then link the other two, and you will, in principle, be able to play the whole thing together, which will be really genuinely enormous. We've got a bunch of markers here. These look like mines. These are general system markers. Those are what? Commando OOC. Commandos out of contact. No idea what that means, but I guess we'll find out at some point. Suppressions. Barrages. It looks like, I don't know if this is game-specific stuff or 2.0 stuff, but there's a lot of additional stuff here. Without looking at the specific, I don't know actually if they're in here. Let's look. Let's grab the game-specific rules. In other games in the series, you get layouts of the counter sheets. So this I gather to be a campaign map of the whole thing. It's huge. Okay, so that's not that. Let's look in the scenario book. In Where Eagles Dare, and I think in Devil's Cauldron as well, you get pictures, you get scans of the counter sheets, and also it tells you what's where on the counter sheets. So what I think we have here is GTS errata counters for other games in the series at the end. But I am seeing landing craft, which it can't be for anything other than this game in the series. So maybe it's just these couple at the bottom. I don't know. That's something that we will look at. There are also heroes in this game, which is something that is not in the Market Garden games. So that's potentially interesting. And then we have these. These are more or less, at least, regular-sized war game maps, but they are folded twice instead of being folded 3 times. So they're in kind of a landscape format. And these, of course, are the maps. There are 4 of these, in addition to the beach maps and the little extension maps that do various things. So the amount of physical, and a bunch of these, I might add, are double-sided for scenarios, which I also like. This, for example, is the Saga of the 6th Airborne map, which, as it happens, is a scenario I would very much like to play. There's, and I'm not going to even take these out of the box. I think there's nothing under them. There's not. Enormous quantity of stuff here. This is just an enormous game, a very expensive game. I picked this up at Winter Offensive, Multiman's convention in January. And I am, as I said, not really looking at it in detail yet because I have GTS 1.1 coming up and I don't want to get confused. But, and I talked to people, and that appears to be a good idea from what I'm being told. But after that, this is kind of the game I want to dig into. So I have some more GTS content on the slate, so keep an eye out for that. You will be seeing more of the Grand Tactical series on this channel. So not quite an unboxing, although the title card says that, but if you've enjoyed it, please leave a thumbs up, leave a comment if you have any questions. If there's something specific you would like to see or would like to have me talk about, please mention it in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching. I will see you next time.